Hello, my name is Tavera, and I'm from section 190. 1. Sharing the manage the semester of work in small groups. My practical advice what I would give, so an advantage of working in small groups, you work in a tight-knit community group where you can complete work faster. But a disadvantage of this, I would say, is that sometimes the people don't want to do work. So when you try and do work, it actually slows everybody down and can lead to your project being or assignment being late, which can deduct points. But I like to work is my first advice, cause I'm multiple. My first advice would be try to encourage them, trying to help them, trying to see what's wrong with them, and if there's any way you or your group can try and help them and fix it, or if not, you can take on the work. But again, if they're just being mean and they don't want to do anything and they just don't want to communicate clearly, then you also have the option to kick them out. I know it's harsh, but at the end, they're just gonna keep dragging you and your teammates down, which is what you don't want. You just want a healthy, positive, communicative environment. Two, question two: describe two listening barriers presented in my text and examples of how I will work to minimize them. So, in my text, we're talking about mental and physical barriers. So it's like mental barriers, like you're thinking of somewhere like what movie I'm gonna watch or what I'm gonna eat later tonight. When someone's talking to you really on a deeper level, that really affects your listening, because you're ignoring them. You don't care. You're just focusing on what you want to eat. But a way I would try and personally put this aside is no it's trying to plan it like, oh, I know I'm gonna get there at certain time blank blank. So I would just know so I just know I have my phone to remind me and not to keep constantly like wandering off like, oh, I gotta make sure I gotta be there. So I can be attentive and pay attention and actively listen to my partner. And as to mental barriers, as we also have physical barriers. As like hearing impairment, you can't hear where you're sick. When you're sick, you sometimes can't hear, or you have swimmer's ear. When a way I will try to minimize that is just generally for in case like your ears are clogged, you obviously would use ear drops. But also if you have hearing impairment, you have hearing loss, of course it would be hard. So I would try, or again, it doesn't even have to be that. It even has to be like TV noise. Like for things like that, I would just turn them off. Or if I'm calling someone and they're talking to me on a deeper level, I will move myself aside and go to a room where it's completely silent and just be a one-on-one conversation, basically. Question three, it says, complete the listening assessment on page 88 of my textbook and share what I learned about my listening habits. So I completed the assessment, and it turns out I'm not that much a good listener, I say, but I could definitely improve. Per se, like things, well, this isn't a bad listener, but I think it is true since yes, I do pay attention to the person, but I'm like, what can I tell them or what advice should I give them? But I just don't know, which which will make me a bad listener because it was just like as I wasn't attentively listening or caring what they were talking about, which is not what we're trying to get to. So a way I could like improve this is just by paying more attention and just get rid of any distractions. That's it. So thank you for everything and have a great rest of your time.